All right, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Michelson, and today me and my two classmates, Jareen Rockstrom and Tammy Cooper, will be presenting on our LEAD 326 Positive Change Project. So first of all, we wanted to kind of give you an intro. We believe Boise State University is a fantastic college. They offer many effective tools and programs in order to be successful students. One of the tools that many students take advantage of is taking online courses in order to obtain your degree. Why take online? Many people have that negative mindset. I tell some of my friends or peers, oh, I'm going to online school, and they instantly say, oh, you're going to a fake college or something like that. And that's not the case at all. What online college is for is, for the traveling business professional, or the stay-at-home parents, or someone that lives out of state, or heck, maybe you just don't have time to go down to campus, or you don't want to go to campus. That's what Boise State Online's for. It's a perfect solution, and currently they offer 42 online courses, which over 2,700 students nationwide are currently taking advantage of. Myself, for example, I located in Portland, Oregon, and I'm able to go to Boise State University online. Online courses allow you the freedom to complete your degree at your own pace and on your own schedule. Online courses are absolutely fantastic, but there's a question that we're going to be asking today and going through, and that's how can Boise State University give the online student a more personable and effective experience? So as my classmates and I dove into this project, we met as a group and took a look at the article, Root Cause Problem Solving. And while we looked at this article, we discussed some of the issues that we're facing as online students. And one thing we went over with these issues, we went with the 5 whys methods in order to create our core issue and in order to dive into the root issues. One thing that we noticed with Boise State Online is, how do we make it a more personal experience? So as we brainstorm and discuss these issues online students are faced with, we've come up with 3 possible solutions for the 3 roots of our problems that can improve what is already a good program and make it a great program. Because like I said, we absolutely love Boise State Online. We absolutely love the campus, but we want to make sure we can make it more personable for the students going forward. So the 3 issues and solutions we took a look at in regards to making the online college a more personal and effective experience are: number 1, busy work. Why are things such as discussion boards still being programmed the way they are? And what I mean by that is things like requiring students to have 2 replies to a discussion board. To us, that seems like busy work, and it's not very involved. So some of the easy solutions were, let's get rid of discussion boards if it's little things like reply to your fellow peers, or go on there and intro yourself and no one ever replies to them. Another solution we liked was have live discussion boards or video discussion boards. That's something that we've started seeing these last couple of courses, and we'd really like to see teachers continue the live discussion boards. Use more things such as Skype and FaceTime and Google Hangouts. And the last thing, as far as busy work goes, is there's no need for quizzes. And what we mean by that is a lot of these quizzes, you can actually go online and copy and paste the exact question and get your answer via Google. That's just busy work. Unless the teacher wants to make a quiz that's really going to push the students, we don't feel like you need that. So that was number 1, eliminate busy work. Number 2, the majority of online professors seem to direct the classes instead of teaching the classes. There's not much interaction with the instructor. We understand that's part of the online program, and it gives you that freedom. But some of the possible solutions we would like to see are, let's do live video conferences. Give the students options. Hey, there's going to be a broadcasted lecture at 5 p.m. It allows students to be in there. But of course, online, we want to have that freedom. So then there's the option to see the recorded video. So that's one of the solutions I think we could get a lot more engagement from the professors. And the last part of getting more engagement would be more up-to-date feedback. There's been many courses where we do essays, quizzes, exams, and it can be weeks to 2 weeks to even months before we get our results or any feedback on that. At some point, it's almost at the end of the semester, which makes it almost impossible to become a better student for that class. So that was number 2. Majority of the online professors seem to direct the class instead of teach the class. And then the final issue we tackled was the tuition costs being more expensive for online students. We understand tuition costs. It's going to continue to raise with the pricing of the economy. However, we don't feel it's necessary for tuition to be done in an extra online course. And the reason being is there's no extra internet or Blackboard charges. Even the student that's going to school on campus, they still have Blackboard. So why are we being charged extra? And then on top of that, we have to pay for books. So one of the solutions that we saw was, how about we get rid of the cost of books? If we're having to pay an extra online fee for these courses, there should be online books. There should be access to free PDF books. And I know this is an option because we've seen it as students. We've had professors that say, we're not going to charge you for books. Here's the free PDF version. And so we feel if you're going to pay extra for an online course, you should be offered that free PDF book. So these were some of the key takeaways that we took away from tackling the making the online personal, just that much more personal as an online student. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to the next classmate, and Jareen, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, according to Cambridge Leadership, when you realize your organization's aspirations, innovations, and progress cannot be attained through your current approaches, adaptive leadership is a framework you need to diagnose, interpret, and innovate your organization. In our opinion, adaptive leadership is needed so that Boise State can innovate the online courses that they currently offer. Online courses at BSU seem to be very different from their in-course equivalents, where the professor teaches, lectures, and connects personally with the students. Learning online can feel like you're learning the material on your own, as opposed to in-class courses where the instructor teaches and leads the class. With 83% of the BSU students living off campus, online courses are becoming more and more popular. Improving and making these online courses more innovative and attractive could help BSU grow their attendance. The first step in adaptive leadership approach is to recreate the process. This is done by diagnosing and interpreting problems. Breaking these issues into categories is a good first step and help you look for solutions. Types of problems or categories are technical and adaptive, or just adaptive. Technical challenges are easy to address. In this case, the technical challenge of adding more extensive lectures from professors could be easily solved by attaching or linking them into the current Blackboard system. Technical and adaptive challenges are not so easily addressable. These challenges can be defined but do not have straightforward solutions. A solution we had that falls in this category is having the live feed lectures, where students have the option of participating in or asking questions. This live feed could be done at noon or maybe at 9 p.m. in order to accommodate the greatest number of students. The point of a live lecture would be give the look and feel of an in-class presentation. However, the lectures could also be recorded for those that needed to watch them at a different time. This is also an example of an adaptive issue, as students would need to learn how to use software such as Zoom that we're using to allow them to participate in the live version of the lecture. Adaptive challenges are not easily identifiable and require more of an experimental mindset. In order to move Boise State's online courses forward with a more user-centric approach, adaptive issues need to be resolved and may well require a trial and error or experimental process. The experimental mindset is vital because doing the same job better, longer, and with more help will not solve adaptive challenges. As far as leaders' behaviors that are important, according to the book Leadership on the Line, leaders exhibiting an adaptive style are performance-motivated, self-aware, and generally have high levels of emotional IQ. They assign the right tasks to the right people, provide resources for professional development, and while they do take decisive action, they rarely do so in a knee-jerk manner without considering all possible outcomes. These leaders follow 6 basic steps. Peter Northouse lists these 6 steps or behaviors. The first step is getting on the balcony. Taking a look from the balcony enables leaders to look down on the situation for clarity. By looking at the organization or process as a whole, you can start to ask the why questions. For example, our why started with, why do online classes feel so different from in-course classes? And why do in-course professors lecture and teach, and in online classes, the instructors give videos and assignments and do very little teaching? Step 2 is to identify the adaptive challenge. Adaptive challenges affect core feelings, beliefs, emotions, and attitudes. Adaptive challenges could affect things such as perceived value versus cost, convenience versus getting less instruction, or even competing commitments such as online, competing too much within class courses. Step 3 is regulate distress. When people face change, stress tends to accompany that. Adaptive leaders must create a safe environment for their team. The responsibility of the leader is to help the team understand that the change is a positive necessity. Step 4 is maintain disciplined attention. Maintaining disciplined attention is keeping the team focused and on track. Communication is critical to ensure that all team members know the plan and what their specific roles are for contributing to mission success. Step 5 is give the work back to people. Letting the people define and solve problems means that management needs to learn to support rather than control. No micromanaging. Remember the difference between a manager and a leader. Step 6, protect leadership voices from below. Giving a voice to all people is the foundation of an organization that is willing to experiment and learn. Diversity is valuable because innovation and learning are the products of differences. So getting feedback from all voices in the group is vital. So what is adaptive work? Well, it's leading the change even when both the problem and the solution are unclear, and new learning is required by all the participants. Steve Wolinski states in an article on adaptive leadership that the word adaptive is drawn from evolutionary biology and refers to the process that organisms follow if they're going to survive and thrive. The three components of this process is: 1, preserve the organizational elements necessary for survival; 2, remove or modify the elements that are no longer necessary or useful; and 3, create or innovate new arrangements that enable the organization to thrive. This is a real challenge for BSU, to find ways that online classes can be more user-friendly, have it feel more like in-class courses, and allow students to feel connected to their instructors. BSU should approach their online courses as a benchmark for other universities to try to emulate and follow. Tammy?
Hi. So I'm going to take on this last section here, and we want to talk about adaptive leadership and how we can use it to pursue our team's vision of the future for Boise State and for our online students. Technical and adaptive components of the situational challenges that Jareen discussed really provide us the ability to use adaptive leadership and to make positive changes pertaining to the issues that we have at hand. Adaptive leadership is discussed by Northhouse as an approach where leaders encourage people to adapt, to face and deal with problems, challenges, and changes. It is unlike trait and authentic approaches, which focus on leader characteristics. Adaptive leadership focuses on activities of the leader in relation to the work of the followers. Heifetz, as cited in Northhouse, goes on further and discusses followers and themselves, the different approach to leadership. It changes how leaders see their followers and themselves. The leader is in an assistant role, helping and confronting tough problems, thus being more follower-centered. He discusses 6 different leader behaviors that leaders can utilize to facilitate this change. And for our issues, really all 6 of those could could relate and could be discussed, but there was really three that stood out as far as what we were talking about. So the first thing that I want to talk about is getting on the balcony. And this is described in our text, like Jareen mentioned earlier, is where the leader just kind of, he gets away from the situation and the noise and the chaos of the situation, which allows them to get a clearer view of the reality of what's going on. So personally, my son once had a basketball coach, and he had this rule for parents, and it was that after a basketball game, no parents were allowed to contact the coaches with any issues, problems, anything for 24 hours. And then he also required that the boys on the team, after the game, they're driving home, riding a bus from an away game, needed to have their phones off for at least an hour. So no outside distractions. They were just there to focus and to be away from the noise of the game and the noise of the situation. I thought that was a really good example of how one can like step back and look at the situation without noise from outside sources, which gives you a clearer perspective. This approach lets your mind and emotions settle. And oftentimes when leaders are confronted with issues, they can be defensive. It's a natural instinct. Getting on the balcony allows a leader to take a step back and non-judgmentally look at any problem. So in our group's case, professors or leadership at BSU might have first become offended at the thought that online students aren't feeling as if they're receiving all this attention that they think they are or should be getting. However, if those leaders are able to get on the balcony and utilize a setting like our text suggests, where perhaps a group of unofficial advisors gather for alternative discussions about organizational issues, this setting would give them clarity on the issue and allow them to understand and acknowledge the problem more clearly. And then everybody can move forward on that topic together. The next thing is regulating distress. Northouse explains the process of change creates uncertainty and distress for people. And feeling a certain level of stress is inevitable. In some situations, it's even useful. However, too much is counterproductive and it can be debilitating to lots of people. And Heifetz talks about creating a holding environment, which regulates distress and creates a safe haven for everybody. And this place is where the intense topics can be discussed without feelings of intimidation. And this is where the discussions on changing how Blackboard topics are posted and replied to, how students want more personal interaction with their professors or access to their on-campus lectures, and concerns of higher tuition costs for online students can begin. These Blackboard discussions can take place in a virtual space where leadership and students can both be involved in live conversations. Those conversations can then be stored and used for future viewing for students in that class or even future students from other classes if they wanted to view those in the future. This holding environment forces the leaders and the followers to converse and discuss the hard topics in a safe environment. Leaders use their leverage to help people to attend to the issues and to attend to decision making. Instructors would lead conversations and keep the students on track. Finally, protecting leadership voices from below. This can be a very challenging process, yet it has to be addressed. It requires the leader to relinquish some of their control and to give it to the members, other members. And that is on page 270 in our textbook. In this behavior adaptive leadership, the leader must be open to ideas from outliers and deviants within the group. This puts individuals on equal footing, which allows everyone to feel valued, important, and feel heard. It also gives more responsibility to them, the followers, for their actions. Protecting the voices from below really pertains to our issues, since the online students are really the voices from below. They are many times faceless students who are never seen by their instructors. One won't most likely see them in the stands at a Boise State football game or walking across campus. In fact, they may never even step foot on campus, yet they must be heard and taken seriously. And of course, surveys are not necessarily the best course of action. There needs to be a personal route taken or more specific and targeted questions that are asked. If they aren't, Boise State's online program will not thrive and it won't become all that it can be. So in conclusion, we just want to reiterate that on Boise State's landing page, it states, "We are Broncos. We never stop. We're relentless. We're tenacious and transformative. Our trajectory is unrivaled and our outlook is unlimited." We agree with this statement, and we want to make Boise State the best it can be for its online students. We're proud to be counted among the ranks of Boise State Broncos. We have the same desires, hopes, aspirations as a traditional student. Our vision for the campus is one that meets the need of BSU's online students. Our overarching concern, where did I lose my spot? Oh my goodness. So sorry. Our overarching concern is that we're not receiving the same quality experience and education as traditional students. Our tuition costs are higher. Discussion replies on Blackboard seem more like busy work than an interactive experience with classmates. We're not given access to in-class lectures, where many questions and concerns could be alleviated and the learning experience enhanced. Finally, most professors in the online environment seem to direct the class rather than teach classes. Our desire is to use solutions we have presented and apply adaptive leadership as Heifetz envisions, where leaders engage in activities that mobilize, motivate, organize, and focus the attention on others. Ultimately, leaders and followers working together hand in hand to address problems and look towards creative approaches to solving them. When this happens, online students will grow and flourish, and they'll be excited to share their positive experiences with others and continue to grow. Boise State's online presence will be transformative and unrivaled and they'll be unrivaled and the leaders in their field. Thank you.